Last year saw a focus in my photography on the smaller subjects, the micro landscapes, the subtle stories beneath our feet. There was a passion there, a passion that I also once shared with landscape photography that I had somehow lost along the way. So, in 2025, I have my camera in hand and I'm ready to rekindle that passion. It's a little past sunrise, and I didn't actually make it here for sunrise due to unexpected heavy traffic that I was stuck in for quite some time actually. But regardless, I don't think I missed much. There wasn't really much light or colour this morning, and that is still posing a problem now. I would absolutely love for this cloud to shift. I love these two trees here. Oh, they're very picturesque, aren't they? I quite like all the others sort of dotted around in the background. Just solo trees everywhere. They're spaced apart quite nicely. And actually, if I kind of stand here, I've got a nice sort of a leading line from the tree, which has got a hedge that's leading you to Downham Hill. I mean, yes, it's a shame about the lack of light and the sky, but I guess sometimes when you can't have exceptional, good has to be enough. We've got a really, really strong foreground subject here, but then it just kind of trails off as your eye goes towards that hill. What I've decided to do is just cut the sky out completely and this hill and just focus on these trees because they're all positioned so beautifully along this landscape. And I'm really feeling sort of long horizontal crops at the moment. So this works beautifully as an intimate landscape scene. I'm not entirely sure when the spark for landscape photography died out. There wasn't really a specific moment. I think it was highlighted when I developed a passion for macro and fungi photography, when I realised that I would much rather be rooting around the muddy forest floor looking for tiny things instead of waiting for light and mist. Speaking of waiting for light and mist, that is exactly what I am doing right now with these beautiful, beautiful beech trees. So we have this nice 16:9 image composed, and it's nothing groundbreaking, but I quite like it. And I've been waiting to see if the mist, the fog that we've had this morning, that's kind of more off to the right, was going to reach this hill in these trees, and so far it hasn't really, which is a bit disappointing, as I was hoping it would sort of fill in some of these gaps where the sky is, where you've got those really harsh highlights. But the backup plan is the sun is rising directly behind me, and as it comes above all of this low cloud, ideally it should cast some beautiful golden light onto these trees. So it is just kind of a waiting game to see what happens and what we can get this morning. In the end, I only managed to capture a hint of mist, the fog and light just so reluctant to shine down on these beautiful trees. Now, when I first lost that spark, I kind of just blamed my local area. Bloomin' hell, that's muddy. Oh, I'm a bit stuck. Oh. Now, Gloucestershire is surrounded by woodland, so it's only natural that I spend a lot of time doing woodland and forest photography. Ugh. I have to travel a bit, a couple of hours, in order to get to locations that have waterfalls or coastal locations, and I admit I don't find much joy in commuting. Driving at times is very stressful, and so if I can avoid long journeys and narrow back roads, then I will. So, you know, the thought of having to drive a long way to get to a location at most of the time is very off-putting. And this is where I know the spark has gone, because landscape photography suddenly feels like an effort just to get there. And then, because you've made the effort, you can't help but pray that it's going to be worth it, that you get decent light and you come away with a good photo. We all find ourselves stuck in that pressure, expectation trap occasionally, and it completely just kills the thrill of photography and the excitement of exploring. I was saying that taking a step back from landscape photography and focusing on macro and close-up over the past year has benefited my creativity greatly. It's opened up a world of micro landscapes as well as general wide landscapes. Just like these three rocks that I spotted here in the foreground of this shot, and I really just liked the tones and all of the lines we have that are so delicate to me, kind of like a graphite drawing. And typically, as I framed up, the tide was still coming in and we had this lovely sort of soft foamy water lapping around these rocks. And now that I have started to take photos, the tide has gone out and we're now missing that element. But never mind, I guess. Can't have it all. See, now I'm challenged with my self-inflicted problem of having such a slow photographic process over time, from sitting on forest floors for hours at a time observing tiny things, that now I'm just too slow for this kind of thing. By the time I've set up a shot, the tide has gone out and I've missed it. Need to develop some speed. I think a slower pace has been working for me for a while. It's been very enjoyable, but I used to really enjoy the thrill of faster paced photography, you know, chasing lights, sunrises, sunsets. And then at some point it just started to feel far too chaotic. And I think in my life at the time I needed that slower pace. And I tend to find that your personal life and your photography, they coincide with one another. You know, the mindset that you take to a shoot affects the subjects you see in the pictures that you take. While the sun has gone in, I'm waiting for the light to return, I guess. I'm going to go through today's setup for anybody who is curious. Now, I know I recently sold my 750 camera body, but I just want to state, because I think I confused a few people, that I still have the rest of my Nikon kit, the 850, all of my lenses. I'm not getting rid of that anytime soon. But today I am using the Hasselblad X2D and the 55V lens. So Hasselblad simply reached out and said, hey, we know that you used the X2D a while back for a video. Would you like to use it again, this time on a sort of longer time scale and get more from it? I always find that 1 to 2 weeks with a new bit of kit is never really enough to get used to using it and really deep dive into what it can do. but I was also very curious about this camera. So I guess I want to answer questions such as, who is this camera for? You know, does this type of camera improve or change your photographic process, your photography, anything in any way? And if money were not a problem, why would I buy this over something else? And I can probably answer those questions already, but I don't think they would be very fair because they would be based off my very limited experience with it and other people's opinions. So I'd like to build some experience and be able to answer those honestly, and maybe even share my thoughts with you in the future if you're interested in that. So you will see this camera setup popping up every so often in my videos. Now, for full transparency, I am allowed to keep this setup, which I am aware is absolute insanity, in return for social media content. But I have not been asked to sell this to you. I have not been asked to review it or anything. I was simply asked to use it as I would my own kit and just share my experience with it as I do with everything else that's on my channel, I guess. You are adults. I do not need to tell you what you should or should not have in your camera bag and what you should or should not be using for photography. Yes. I think that is all I had to say about that. If you have any questions or concerns, you'll feel free to reach out to me. That's absolutely fine. But otherwise, that is gear talk over. I think we've got some cloud coming in, and I wonder if today's sunset may be a good one. Well, potential good sunset is debatable right now. The cloud is coming in pretty thickly. So I guess we will have to see. Landscape photography is never simple, never easy. There's a lot of waiting, which funnily enough is what I'm also doing at the coast right now, waiting for a bit of light. So I'll show you what I have set up here. I think it's going to be a pano. So on the left here, we've got these dark rocks. And I think this might look really good in black and white actually, so we might have to try that. And then as I turn the camera, we've just got these sort of streaks of highlights of water that's leading you to the ocean and hopefully some sunset colours and light. The sun has just gone down behind some pretty big clouds, which is very typical. I didn't notice those a minute ago. Observation skills, 0. So we'll see if we get any colour in that sky in the background and reflecting on those highlights on the water there. But otherwise, I think black and white will still look really nice. So we'll give this a go anyway. I currently have an ND filter on, just to have a slower shutter speed to smooth that water down a bit, but as the light drops, I'm possibly going to take it off. It's probably not necessary at all. Sometimes ideas are just ideas, and this fell pretty flat in my opinion, but hey, it was worth the exploration anyway. I think it's really sad when you fall out of love with something, and I guess you could argue that I have really developed some motivation back in doing this video because I wouldn't do it if I didn't want to do it, if that makes sense. And I have visited quite a few new and old locations off camera, as well as the few locations that you have seen in this video, because I wanted to make sure that I was doing this for myself and not just for show on YouTube. But this year I really want to regain my confidence back in landscape photography and just get back into the groove of things. Well, golden hour was not particularly golden, and there is a tiny bit of light and colour, but it really is just not reaching anywhere near this bridge and this river. So next time. I just want to thank you for watching today's video, and I hope you stick around as the landscape adventures continue. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you are looking forward to it. So I'll see you next time. that pesky helicopter again. Watch it come through.